Welcome back to another episode of Adam and Aaron with Kenan and Kel. I'm your host, Kel.
I'm your host, Kenan.
This week we're looking at an episode called The Philadelphia Witch Trials. I'm sorry, I think I'm a little backwards this morning.
I think you are. The Chicago Witch Trials, that's like the third place that these witch trials have taken place. They're all over the United States.
Where was the first place, Adam?
Salem, Massachusetts.
Where was the second place, Adam?
Chicago.
And then Philadelphia.
Yeah, the year was October 31st, 1998.
Ooh.
This was the Halloween special of that year.
Wow. That's all we have to say about it, folks. We will see you next week. I think I made that joke last week.
I'm positive you made it before, too.
Definitely.
It's a very special episode of Kenan and Kel with a special guest star.
Yes, a very special guest star, who we will talk about shortly, with all the information that you dug up on her, because I have zilch.
Let's join Coolio for a brand new season, Halloween, in season 3.
It's always Halloween with Kenan and Kel, because their outfits are always something to write home about. Or you could call them costumes.
Kel's costume is particularly insane. Think of the bluest blue you've ever seen in your life. And then double it. That's the color blue that his shirt is.
It's very blue, and it's like a satin shirt. And it's like a blue checkered satin shirt.
That can't be comfortable.
It looks...
Or is it? Is satin very comfortable?
I think it's very comfortable, Adam. I think it's actually
Okay,
very... I don't really know.
But he's got black overalls, so that's the most uncomfortable kind of pants, certainly.
They look like fly fishing rubber pants. That's what it looks like. He's about to go into the river.
Well, that matches his usual hat.
It's
right?
got his black bowler hat. Not bowler hat. What do you call those?
Bucket.
Bucket. It's more of a bucket hat. Yeah.
And Kenan. I didn't even write down what Kenan was wearing. Because it's so...
Oh, I got it right here on CBS All Access. Kenan is donning a blue shirt with like just a normal button down. It's like tan-ish with checkers. Very slight. It's a nice outfit, actually. Kenan is always repping the short sleeve Oxford shirts the sleeves go down past his elbows. And
speaking of the meta intros that we've had for Kenan and Kel, this one's like right on the money too.
They've been going at it. They know the universe that they're in and the space in it they're occupying. And Kel is quick to tell Kenan that he doesn't want him to say anything about the episode.
Yep. And he basically has very good breakdowns. Like, this always happens. You say something about the episode, I get frustrated, I say, oh, here it goes, and we run off. And Kenan says, like, what's every week, really?
and so Kel preemptively says, oh, here it goes, and tries to leave before Kenan can say anything. Which is actually pretty smart, right? Kel is like, I know where this is going. Let's just get on with it.
Kenan makes him a promise that he won't tell him anything about the episode. Which, unfortunately for Kel, is just as bad as telling him something about the episode.
Because, cue the scary music, Adam.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun!
Kel is so scared, I believe he jumps in Kenan's arms. Is that...
Effortlessly. like a dove, he, swoops his legs up and Kenan catches him like it's no problem.
You're right. It is very effortlessly.
Yeah, they must have practiced that, all the time.
It is very effortless, I meant to say. Effortlessly is an adverb.
Thanks, Teach.
I did not. I don't teach English. So Kenan is showing, not telling. He is using musical powers of the ominous. He spooks Kel.
Yeah, basically. And Kel's very much like, is this going to be a scary episode? And I do not think it is. Kenan, he's like, all right, let's on with the show. Come on, Squeegee.
Squeegee, yeah. I don't know, Adam. It might be considered by some men to be a scary episode. Because sometimes, it seems like women just cast a spell on you, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yes, from that angle, be it supernatural or natural, that could be very scary.
It could be scary for some people. It could bring up some old memories. Anyways, here it goes to the show.
Well, as Kenan leaves, the sound effects hits again. And Kenan says, he's like, oh, it was longer that second time, boy, I tell you. Like to himself. But yeah, no, all here goes to a new set.
To a new set, yes. We are back in the classroom, but it's not the classroom of the crush or...
Dish Day Afternoon.
It's a different setup.
Yeah, because they are on the other side of the United States.
Hey, they're still in Chicago.
Yeah, they're still in Chicago. So we are introduced to the different classmates of Kenan and Kel, which no Janice anymore.
No, they thought that she was such a bad character they didn't have to write her back in. And she was also located in Orlando, so see ya.
Certainly. But there's a new, I guess, nerd in class.
What's his name?
Mark Cram.
Mark Cram. Well, Mark Cram runs into the classroom after Kenan walks through. Kenan's wearing his bright red, thick button down, whatever. And Mark Cram runs in after him and gives Kenan a big hug.
Yeah. He calls out Kenan as neighbor. So, I guess he's talking about hey, I tried to, I saw you walking to school. I wanted to walk with you, but you just you start jogging. I couldn't keep up.
Kenan's like, oh yeah, I do my jogging.
Yeah, we're gonna learn more about Mark next episode.
Oh, nice.
He's the new he's a new cast member.
He's wearing a long sleeve button down shirt, a sweater vest, and a bow tie with these big glasses that look like fish bowls.
Classic geek.
That's right. Classic geek. He's very peculiar. So peculiar, when the teacher walks in a couple moments, he runs up to her and tries to give her a hug, and she just is like, no.
Yeah, right. But speaking of hugs, Kel comes in and following them, and he's like, "Hey, Kenan, Mark!" and gives him a big hug.
Yeah.
Kenan's faces are on point this episode. They're amazing.
Oh, I think it might be the best. Yeah, the best so far.
Yeah, because as soon as he does that, he has a what kind of face.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Kenan, that's actually funny because in the beginning of the episode, on stage, Kenan's like, "It's okay, I won't say anything." He does a good job of not saying things and with his facial expressions.
Yeah, it's just his face. Following Kel is Sharla from the from Skeletor vs. Mothman. She goes to their school too.
She goes to their school. She kind of works at Rigby's, kind of doesn't. We don't really know yet.
It's the same bit again that she's really friendly with Mark and gives him a big hug.
She gives Mark a big hug, and she also has somebody else with her.
Yes, there's a new kid in school. Her name is Becky.
And immediately when Becky enters the room, somebody has the hots for her, and you can just tell.
Yes, and this should be no surprise to any Good Burger fanatics out there. Because this Becky is played by Linda Cardellini. Linda Cardellini was in Good Burger.
Was she?
She played Heather, the crazy girl.
Who was Heather?
At Demented Hills, the Ed's girlfriend.
Oh, there. No way!
Yes, that's her.
Oh, no way!
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so funny.
So I think a lot of the I think some of the chemistry in this episode is built off their interactions from then.
Oh my gosh, of course. It's like they lived a different life and they're reincarnated together. Anyways, we know that they have chemistry because Kel sees her and holding a bottle of orange soda and wants to offer a peace offering. He wants to he wants to offer her a gift.
He's like, yeah, and the only thing he has to give is orange soda. So do you want some orange soda? And she says, of course.
I love orange soda, yes.
And they do the back and forth thing about who loves orange soda. And it ends with a we do. And then Becky takes a swig from the bottle.
What word would you use to describe that? Seductive. Swig from the bottle.
As best as you can.
Yeah.
It makes me really appreciate Kel because he makes it look so effortless when he drinks large quantities of orange soda.
Yeah, it must be kind of hard to do, honestly.
Yeah, she does the best that she can, and it's probably better than I could do. But
I think that's I know we talk about orange soda a lot, but it is kind of funny. That's his prop, right? It's like a 2-liter bottle.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that you're running around school with a 2-liter of.
It's that's just your hydration for the day. Some kids do that with a gallon of water.
Yeah,
these days.
I was about to say, when I was in college, people would be in the library, with just a whole gallon.
Yeah, I just always found that horrible.
It just looks like poor planning.
Just get a bottle and refill it.
Yeah, it's free. They all sit down as the teacher enters the room. Mrs. Stogie is her name.
Yeah, what the heck is up with that?
I don't know. No teacher in the entire canon of Kenan and Kel has had a normal name.
What were the other names?
So there was a misnomer in
Oh, right.
in Montana. There was Miss Horn was kind of ordinary, although it's kind of racy a little bit.
Yeah.
Then there's also a Miss. It was the Lufa, Mrs. Lufa.
Oh, Miss Lufa.
Yeah. Miss Queso taught Spanish.
Miss Queso.
So yeah, no, it's been a whole.
There has been a lot of teachers. It's good they don't just have the same teacher teaching everything. That would be unrealistic. Well, anyways, Mrs. Stogie walks in, declines a hug from Mark, and immediately points out that the whiteboard and the topic of the day, which is
The Salem Witch Trials.
Witch trials?
The Witch Trials. Yeah, that was the
Which trials?
yeah.
That was Kel's joke. It's very obvious, right? But he goes, witch trials. The Salem witch trials.
Do you think they do a good job explaining what the witch trials were and what witchcraft is?
In 30 seconds, I think they did an adequate job of explaining the Salem witch trials. I think they did a very sufficient job.
And the main source of information about the trials comes from Becky.
Becky seems to know a lot about witches.
Yes. Worth mentioning, she is, like, very, very intent and enthusiastic about answering these witchy questions.
Which is interesting for a new student.
Yes. And she points out the year that took place, 1692. 20 people falsely accused of being witches. And Kenan's very, quick to dismiss it, that there's no such thing as witches.
And it's just at that moment that his chair falls apart after Becky looks at it.
Yeah, she really stares him down, whips her head around. And, he has the first spot of bad luck.
We should say that Becky is wearing all black, and she has long brown hair.
Yeah, worth pointing out. And she also describes what she says in response to Kenan, that there are a lot of witches. And they're not all evil monsters. They're normal people. Like you, or me. Like that.
She's also wearing a choker, like the necklace thing.
Yeah.
Which just screams modern day witch. It's like she's definitely making some kind of potion. It's very obvious.
Right. So Kenan's chair breaks, and we have a witch clip art transition to Rigby's.
Hey, you got to be a little bit gentler with the clip art.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Beratement.
We have witch art to take us from the school to Rigby's.
To carry us off.
Like a witch on a broom.
To the land of Oz. We are headed somewhere else. Where are we headed, Adam?
Inside Rigby's. Kenan is kind of, musing behind the counter while Kel is playing a game of... What's he playing?
Kel is playing She Loves Me, She Loves Me Not with a bag of popcorn.
Yep. Which, after, throwing it and catching it a couple times, he pours the bag on himself. Makes a giant mess. And shouts, "She loves me!" Yeah, he's got feelings for... the reincarnated Heather.
Yeah, hey, why not, right? It's like there's this new girl and she actually seems to like him. That's what that was the vibes that were given off in class. And Kenan is like, "Hey, you can't like her. She's a witch. She cast a spell on me. I've had nothing but bad luck all day."
Yeah. And he points out that she knows all this stuff about witchcraft. And Kel's like, "I know all that stuff too." And Kenan says, "No, you don't." And Kel replies, "Oh yeah, I don't."
Yep, it's very, very confusing banter.
It is.
If you ask me. Kenan's facial expressions here are on the money again.
Across this whole scene, just gold, not liquid gold. Watch this episode to see Kenan's crazy face.
Yeah, he's squinting, he's angry, he's twitching with rage. He can't believe that somebody would cast a spell on him. Yeah. And he's certain that that's what she did.
So Kel has a theory that maybe his chair was a witch. That's why. It's
a pretty good theory. Meanwhile, Kenan gets a paper cut from this receipt that he's toying with, and Kel grabs it and throws it away.
Kenan lists a long spot of several series of bad luck items that have occurred to him. Do you know what those are?
I do not, because I didn't write any notes from this episode. If the audience couldn't tell, it was kind of a busy week.
That's fine.
One of them was hitting his foot on the door.
He got hit in the head with a soccer ball too.
Oh, okay. Was I right about the hitting the foot on the door?
You combined the two of them. He hit his head on the with the soccer ball, and he stepped in doggy doo.
Okay, there you go. And then he got a paper cut and the chair broke, which is, that's not a good day.
That's a real bad day. And so he's like, I'm telling you, she's a witch. And as he says that, who enters the store?
None other than Chris
Potter.
Oh. Wait a second, Adam. Is this before or after Harry Potter was written?
Oh,
Because I have another theory.
Hang on.
I have another theory. I think Miss Rowling is a Kenan and Kel fan.
Chris Potter was made, back when this show first started, and Harry Potter was released in June 26, 1997. So I think that's one of our.
So what you're saying is it's entirely possible that Harry Potter, along with Google, was inspired by Kenan and Kel.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm insinuating.
Just clarifying. Okay, and why do we think this, Adam?
Let's start. As soon as Chris enters here and he hears witches, he says, "Follow me to the back." And whisks them away, spirits them away to the back of the store.
Spirits. It's like the whimsical Willy Wonka character, except he has secrets to tell.
When he's going through the tunnel, right? In Willy Wonka. There's a darkness there. And
they go to the back room, and we see the set in the back. The little bed on the side, the table with 3 chairs conveniently placed around it. And Chris shuffles them to the back and has them sit down around the table and says, "Oh, it's too light in here." Turns the light bulb off that's above the table and pulls out a flashlight to shine on his face.
Yes. Chris knows a lot about witches and tells them just flat out ways to spot a witch. They have a distinct odor.
They smell like fire.
Yes. And after one of these, he punctuates it by doing something crazy with the flashlight. After that, he points at each of them. Ha, ha.
This is the best. This is the best Chris scene I've ever seen.
It's pretty amazing, and I've got some theories.
Because there's some really good cinematography here too. They're zooming in as he's telling this really serious story that he might just be making up, but he might not be. It might be real.
Yeah, he's got some good direction from. I think it's a new director this episode, Virgil Fabian.
Oh, Virgil.
Yeah,
nice job.
Who goes on to direct many episodes. This is one of his firsts.
He must be a Hollywood guy.
Yeah, I guess so. So the second sign that you can tell which is that they are always scratching themselves a lot.
Yes, they're very itchy. And I know the next one. Okay. I know the next one. They have a green tongue.
Yeah.
He's shooting daggers of fear at them with his tongue.
Yeah, and he describes a final way you can spot a witch is that they have toes that curl like crow's feet.
Yeah, yes, very scary. Kenan and Kel are really
terrified.
You know how we talk about the childhood innocence of Kenan and Kel. They are as childlike as it gets in this moment. They are scaredy cats.
I do want to point out that I like this. This episode reminded me a lot of Mental Telepathy from season 1, because it's
because we're dealing with the supernatural.
Yeah, Kenan first thinks that something supernatural is going on, and this episode lands that way better than that one on that front. And Chris, after telling them this, says, some they can cast good spells, also can cast bad spells. But of course, there's no such thing as witches anymore.
Right. So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I find that point interesting. I just want to go back to that. Kenan thinks something supernatural is going on, but then at the same time he doesn't believe in the supernatural, right? So he's too prideful to think that anything supernatural could be going on, because that would mean that he doesn't ever have control of the situation or the plan that he is creating, right? Because there's another level to this operative mind of Kenan.
Yeah, it's kind of him drinking his own Kool-Aid in a way, where he invents a situation and then gets more and more paranoid by it, just feeding off himself. Because this episode he went from there's no such thing as witches to no, I think there is, and I think I've been cursed by one.
I feel like Kenan has a lot of childhood trauma, because he is just unable to regulate his thoughts when they start coming up. Like when he has an idea, he can't stop himself from like thinking about it and seeing it through.
I also think this is something that we've seen in past episodes before, that we'll see in the future too, that Kenan's kind of a scaredy cat.
Oh, yeah, and he masks that with a tough exterior.
Yeah, so deep down he scares easily. After this, Chris says, bye, I've got to pick up Mother from the car wash. I have a theory for you.
Okay, I'm ready for it. We already got one really good theory out from this episode.
Well, it's in a similar line to that. Why do you think Chris knows so much about witches?
I think his mother is a retired witch.
Exactly. I think that...
You say exactly.
I think his mother might be an actual witch in this world. Because, okay... Because we never... there's no explanation for why he knows all these things about witches. The only thing that he says is that, of course, there's no such thing as witches these days, but he still has this, dictionary list of ways to spot them and features that they might have, powers and abilities like that. We never see Chris's mom, so who knows if she has a green tongue?
And I mean, how many times has he talked about scraping the gunk off of her feet?
Yes, she's had weird feats.
And her belly, like shaving her belly, right? That would be pretty itchy if you had a hairy belly.
Yeah, scratching yourself and all the shaving and washing she requires.
And grooming.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to... Let's follow that thread and see if there's anything to that.
Well, I mean, also think about Thanksgiving, right? She had to put her meat teeth in, right? Because maybe after all these years of eating with her green tongue, there was so much and drinking potions and stuff, there was so much damage to her teeth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chris has to drive her everywhere. Maybe that's because she only has a broom to transport her.
Or she is a retired witch. Maybe she's a retired witch.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
She wanted out of the witch world.
I don't know when witches retire. They all seem pretty old to me.
Maybe aren't they very old? Aren't they like hundreds of years old?
They're all very hag-like, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess when they get to 340, they're like, yeah, I've had too long here. But yeah, back to that. Chris he's a Potter. It's Mrs. Potter. There might be some magic in their bloodstream.
Right, and Chris could have gone multiple different ways with his life, and he decided to go the grosser route. But he also, at one point, probably could have chosen to be a wizard.
There could also be some kind of real spell that she has on him. Because of how kind of just
so that he will stay local and take care of her.
Yeah, he's pretty much enchanted by how much he has to stay at home and take care of her.
That's true. I mean, he doesn't have a woman, right?
Yeah.
Maybe she's actually an evil witch who.
Well, maybe she has put some sort of not a love potion, but the opposite of one. Made it so that he does not have any interactions with anyone to distract her. But it's a very
That's right.
Yeah. I've got a very psycho vibe from Chris and his relationship with his mother.
Chris's mother, right? She's no longer this matronly figure that we thought for so long.
Yeah, so let's put a pin in that and return to that in future episodes because that's.
I love the theory. I love the theory. A lot of good theories so far.
Yes. Becky and Charla arrive in Rigby's, and they do a series of things up front that as Kenan and Kel hear them and start peeking through the door at them. You see close-ups of them, their faces as they look through this door, and each Kenan expression's amazing.
Yeah, it's really good directing here.
Yeah.
So anyways, like so Chris like leaves to get his mother from the car wash, right? Why is she at the car wash? Maybe that's the only way she can get clean these days. I don't know what that means.
Well, I don't know the rules of witches in this world, but I don't think you can pour a bucket of water on them. That might be something that...
That's definitely not something. Maybe that's why he always has to scrub her, because she can't actually, like, shower.
Yeah, you can't use a wet... That makes sense.
Yeah, it's probably a dry rub. A dry soap. Okay, so...
Speaking of dry rub, the first thing that happens to Charlotte and Becky is Becky picks up a barbecue sauce and it like spills all over her.
That's right. It spills on her. And so I don't really know what the point of that was.
I'll tell you. The next thing is that she has a what does she eat?
Oh, well, she's eating like a blow pop, like a green apple blow pop.
Yep, and the final thing is Charlotte's pointing out, like, oh man, there's so much dust on this can, which I thought really funny because she works there.
Yeah, and so Becky's standing right there, and then Charlotte blows all the dust on this can off, and it just goes right on Becky, and it gets in her skin, and it starts to irritate her, and she starts scratching. As she starts scratching, Kenan peeks his head through the door and starts freaking out because his theory that Becky is a witch is matching Chris's description.
Yeah. So, and they kind of do it back and forth because Kel goes out and looks himself, and she's always acting normal when Kel looks. But when he reports this back to Kel says, maybe she got some dust blown on her or something. And Kenan says, oh yeah, that's realistic.
This is a great Kenan and Kel scene because
Absolutely.
Kenan is just like going back. He's going from like peeking his head through the door to the front, seeing her, and his facial expressions are the first time he was like scared, and then he like his mouth was open. He was like, oh. And then he pointed. He was like, "Oh, I know it." And then he goes back, tells Kel. Kel's like, "Blah blah blah." And so then Kenan's like angry, and he goes over, opens the door, and his face is like mad. He's like a mad dog, and he's like a mad dog face. And what does he see this time when he's peeking through?
It's Becky with like asking Charlotte, "Has this made my tongue green?" And she sticks out her tongue, and it is green. And Kenan freaks out again.
Yeah, but between that, Kel looks through the door and just sees them like. Doing nothing.
Yeah. This is my favorite scene of the episode. At the moment of the episode, Kenan comes back and he draws. He like in the air. He like writes. He says, "Tongue green plus scratching equals witch."
Kel goes. You can't add things that aren't numbers.
And he like mimes erasing the board that he just wrote that on.
Which, like, when I was watching this, I was like, what a great point.
Yeah.
That's not how you can't just like correlate things together. Like it's very hard to do that in like research, but like Kel's actually like very correct here.
It's one of his moments of clarity. So Kenan's like, all right, I'm gonna go out there and see if she smells like fire. So he walks out, says nothing to either of them, and sniffs Becky. His eyes go wide and he runs in the back.
His eyes are going wide, like left and right this episode.
Yeah.
His facial expressions are so good.
And he reports to Kel, she smells all fiery, like barbecue, and that's why the barbecue sauce.
Oh. She
Yeah.
smells like a barbecue. And Kenan is just losing it. He's like, oh my gosh, she has everything.
They stop checking up on them because the two of them come to the back room and see Kenan and Kel. Kenan runs to the door to try and escape, but has some bad luck trying opening it. And the rest of the scene is just him like desperately scratching at it and trying to
open the door.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Charlotte's like, Kenan, why are you acting so weird? You know, and her and Kenan clearly like don't have a good relationship, right?
No.
It's like she's always like, Kenan, why did you do this? You're such an idiot. Meanwhile, Becky has a gift for Kel this time.
Yes. She has a special orange drink that she made herself.
And Kel goes ahead and drinks it, and Kenan is like, no, don't drink that. And then Kel's like, wow, it's really good. And it's like, here, you should try some. Kenan.
He goes, no!
he does like a palm, like a straight palm, like punches it across the room.
Yeah. And they're
So
like,
good.
Kenan, what are you doing?
And he like follows through when he hits it. He like
Yeah.
sticks the
He
post.
does.
It's just like what was the other thing in the episode that just happened?
The skunk
Either last
tour
week or
when he
the week
like
before.
fights him. He like does a push to him. Is that what you're thinking of?
No. It was when Kenan had like a bat or something and knocked away. Oh, the balloon. He popped Kel's
He
balloon.
popped the balloon. Yeah, no, it's the same motion as the balloon pop.
Same like
Follow through. Yeah, no, they're like, why are you asking so crazy? He's like, it's okay, I'm chilling. Then he leans on the computer chair and it just pushes out from under him and he falls on the ground. So he is losing it.
He's losing it. Anyways, they're just like whatever. Becky is unfazed by this. She's really got the feelings for Kel.
There's like a subplot going on here about, you can tell that Charlotte's like really wingmanning or wingwomaning, I guess, Becky, and try like I could totally, you can tell from the rapport, it's like they're friends and it's like she knows that Becky likes Kel and like he's kind of pushing her to ask him out.
Right. And so, anyways, Becky does. She invites Kel over to Becky's house for dinner. And then of course invites Kenan too, and says Charlotte will be there, and so they're kind of trying to have a little double date type thing. It seems like.
Yeah. So and Kenan's like, when Kenan's invited, he says, "Oh," and then turns right back around to try to get out the door.
If it's not obvious, he's a little afraid.
Yeah. So Kel agrees that the girls leave, and Kenan is just like, oh man, she's gonna turn us into frogs or something. But Kel is not listening to that. He's in love.
Kel's in love, and Kenan thinks he drank the love potion.
Yes, Kenan's theory is that Becky concocted a love potion. That's what that orange drink was.
Yep. Adam, let's head over to the Rockmore residence where Cheryl has made a special treat of her own for Roger.
Mm-hmm. Yes, rhubarb pie.
No sugar, no fat, no oil. Like she lists all the things. She's like, oh, it's very healthy.
No butter, no filling, nothing unhealthy. As Roger takes one bite of this, and instant regret washes over his face.
Yeah, he's like, oh, it's very good. And she like kisses him, and she's like, I'm glad you like it. I knew you would. I'll get you another slice. And he puts the plate down, and he's like mortified at what's happening. So he grabs the piece of pie and puts it in his shirt pocket. He doesn't know what else to do.
Yeah, it's just a very, very short-term plan.
He's not thinking very far in advance.
Unless it's like super dry, like because he didn't like fill it with anything. But I don't. Yeah, no, that's not. It's not a good situation to be in.
Cheryl like comes back like right away, and she's like, "Wow, you must have really liked it." Pretty good moment.
Kenan and Kel enter, and Kel is accusing Kenan of like, you're just clumsy. You're not having bad luck. As Kenan bumps into like the end table.
Yeah, I mean, it is that he's exactly right. Kel's been on the money this episode.
Mr. Rockmore's very much like, oh, what's wrong, son? Come here, you can tell me anything.
Right. I like how he takes on this old Englishman. When your accent goes like too far, it's, come on, Sonny.
Sonny, tell me of your troubles in the mine.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It's just like this old British man.
Maybe partially to distract from the pie that's in his pocket. But Kenan's like, okay, fine, I'll tell you what's going on. So there's a new girl in class, and she's a witch, and she put a curse on me, and she made Kel drink a love potion.
They pan over to Kel sitting at the table, and who's just like looking up into the corner with his face in his hands, like he's just like smiling
on cloud nine.
And Roger concurs with Kenan. He's like, well, maybe she did give Kel a love potion. Who could love him?
Yeah, I like immediately he deflects to Cheryl. He's like, why don't you ask your mother what to do?
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what to say.
This is above my pay grade. Cheryl points out that there's no such thing as witches, but Kenan insists that he's going to get to the bottom of things, and he has a lot of books from his local library on witches.
I suppose they stop at the library on the way home.
I suppose so.
This is good educational programming for kids.
Pre-internet.
This is not pre-internet.
Okay,
Kenan had he had the internet in one of the first episodes.
He did. He sent out a car buying guide.
Yeah,
so
the first episode.
I just think it encourages library usage versus just the go to your computer, which I think is a good message for kids.
I agree. It's a good message for kids. So anyways, they're in Kenan's room looking at these witch books.
Yeah, as they go upstairs, Roger says to them, "Beware of going upstairs. There might be vampires." And Kenan just says, "You got pie in your pocket." It's just ratting mouth to Cheryl.
It's really funny. Cheryl looks and just is so mad.
Yeah. So yes, what's happening in their room?
Kel is reading and he's he's sitting in the chair looking at the book and he's like, "Man, I can't even read this. There's all these weird witch characters."
And Kenan flips the book over, upside down.
Classic.
So what does the sum total of their witch research tell Kenan?
The way to combat the accursed is by using your non-witch saliva.
Yeah, the tongue could...
That's basically it.
The tongue can be a powerful weapon against evil. So, I don't think they really got books on witches. I don't know what these books are on, but they're...
What bothers me is this is the end of their research. They decide from that small piece of evidence, of suggestion, that they should go to the date, and Cal's like, "What, we have to spit on everything?" Kenan's like, "No, I think we could just lick it." So their plan is to go to this date, go to Becky's house, and lick everything so that it doesn't put a spell on them. That's the plan.
There's no concept of... even in a world that worked, licking her couch isn't gonna fix the spell or anything like that. It's not. It has nothing to do with him.
Very short-term thinking this episode by the Rockmores and Kel.
I think that's part of. If there's a message here, it's a little bit about conspiracies and don't have more than one source.
What do you mean the Facebook mom's flat Earth source is not enough?
No, yeah, you need to spread your wings.
Facebook mom flat Earth QAnon.
Yeah, flat mothers of America.
Flat mothers. Woo! Anyways, Kenan is planning and he's so excited. He's explaining what the plan is, and right as he says the final words, he knocks something over. Just ominous of all of his bad luck. The transition here is notable. We transition and we see Becky stirring in what can only be called a cauldron.
Yeah, this giant pot. And their explanation is that she says, "Thanks for loaning me this pot, Charla." And Charla is like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry I didn't have anything bigger," as a joke, but... It
is enormous. It's so large, and the spoon is large, and the transition is so good, because as she's stirring, a Kenan, cutout falls down, an animated cutout falls down, and she starts stirring Kenan in the cauldron.
Yeah, no, it's really good. If this was Charlotte's pot, it must have weighed 100 pounds. How did
that is a cast iron pot? How on earth did you move that?
How did you get that through the door?
Why was that an option?
Yeah,
you could fit in that pot.
She also comes out with a different pot later, an entire. Yeah. So they're cooking, and Kenan and Kel arrive. Let's talk about their outfits real quick.
Well, Adam, you see, Kenan is wearing the same clothes he was wearing earlier, just about, except he's now wearing jeans, and he has a black jacket on, and he's wearing a hat like Kel wears.
He's wearing a bucket hat just like Kel, and Kel's wearing almost the same exact hat. Which is they're matching for their double date.
They are kind of matching, and which is funny. And Kenan looks not good in the bucket hat.
No, but Kenan, Cal brought over 2 liter of orange soda like he promised, and Kenan brought over 2 tubs of fried chicken.
And Charla takes them and is like, "That's very rude. You knew that Becky was gonna cook. Why would you bring chicken?"
And they've got like a back and forth. Kel's like, Kenan said it would be safer. I didn't say safer. I said playfer.
Just the worst line.
Yeah, not very good. I will note that this episode was written by Kevin Capello and Heath Seifert. Surprisingly, I think every season they write like one dud or one that's a little.
Oh,
I would say dud, maybe below their standard.
Here's the thing, Adam. Up until this point of the episode, it's not a dud.
No, it's a pretty. It's like they don't
It's
stick the
good.
landing.
It holds its own.
Absolutely,
it's good.
Once they read that licking stuff in the book, you knew that things were going to get weird.
It was just a bad way to wrap up. They didn't know where to go. They hit a corner. And anyways, so Becky takes the orange sodas and the chicken, goes into the kitchen, and
Kenan and Kel follow.
Kenan and Kel follow.
And she offers Kenan a taste of the stew, but that's not what Kenan sees.
No, Kenan is so delirious that he sees literally a witch with like this giant spoon and this cauldron with green light behind her, and smoke coming up.
She's got like a witch hat too, and they like shine a big green spotlight on her. I think it works very effectively versus getting her in a bunch of makeup and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, and we didn't talk about Kel's outfit, did we?
No, he's got overall jeans, and like an orange shirt underneath.
Orange shirt, yeah, with nice blue stripe, good old 90s. Yeah, the overalls is what I wanted to point out. I just love the overalls.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't dress up a little bit more.
Yeah.
We saw what they wore for like the date episode on Fenced In.
Oh, yeah, yep.
He's like, I'm in love. Here you go, I'll burn my overalls.
That's true love right there. Meanwhile, Becky's like, or Charlotte's like, why don't you guys go hang out in there? We'll take it from here, because Kenan was acting real weird. And speaking of acting weird, Kel sits on the couch and Kenan's like, come on, stop doing that. We gotta get to work.
Yeah, he's like bouncing around, and he's like, let's get to work. And they just start licking the whole apartment. Oh, I want to point out Becky's like house here, because once again, I think she's got a lot of like witch tells inside the house. She has a black cat, right?
An enormous black cat. That cat must weigh 25 pounds.
Yeah, named Fernando.
Fernando. Yes.
She's got, looks like candles, and she's got like a big Medusa like plaque on the wall. And
It's really like pretty weird.
A Perseus like bust in the corner.
Yep.
And yeah, a giant zodiac wheel, and like very probably as witchy as you could get in like, prop shops back then.
Definitely pretty spooky.
Also a broom that's right next to the door.
Yes, it's like right next to the door. Exactly where it would be if she was using it to fly around. Meanwhile, Kenan and Kel are licking the entire house, or the room. Kenan's holding a pineapple, and Kel picks up the cat, and Kel starts licking the cat while Kenan is licking the pineapple.
Yeah, as Kenan licks it, he's just like, ow, ow, ow. Just...
And out walks Charlotte and Becky to see Kel
to
licking
see
her
sight.
cat. And they are just like, what?
Are you licking my cats? No. You guys must be hungry. It's like the reaction.
Yes. And so then they walk back into the kitchen, like kind of confused. Kenan walks into the room, the like next room. So he goes kind of offset. And he's like going like with the assumption that he's going to be licking stuff.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Cal in the foreground puts down the cat and he's looking around for Kenan. And what does he see?
He doesn't find him. And so he's like, Kenan, where'd you go? And he looks on the couch, and there is a pineapple with Kenan's hat on it. And Cal assumes the only possible thing is that Becky put a spell on Kenan and turned him into a pineapple.
Yep, that's what he said.
The holes in Kel's logic are really starting to hurt him.
Well, he wasn't particularly stupid for most of this episode. He was more reasonable than more reasonable than Kenan, I would say. But all of a sudden, like, all his stupidity is in this one moment where he's holding up the pineapple and he's like trying to listen to it, and Kenan in the back room is shouting at like Cal is like, Cal, what are you doing? Keep licking stuff. And he like thinks that it's the pineapple talking to him.
Yeah. It's like Kenan standing behind him, and Kel's just like looking at the pineapple, like, Kenan, okay, well, you can still talk.
Yeah. So Charla and Becky return, and Becky's got a more like kind of regular sized pot in hand with the stew that they're going to eat in it. And she says, like, Kel, what is it? And Kel accuses her, just like the witch trials of old.
He publicly denounces her.
Yeah.
And
you witch.
You witch. You turned Kenan into a pineapple.
He says specifically, you turned my friend Kenan into a vegetable.
Oh, yes. Nobody says anything about that, because what is there to say?
Charlotte says, Cal, have you lost what's left of your brain, or whatever it was?
Yeah, have you lost what's left of your mind? Yep.
Yeah. And he says, this stew is some kind of crazy witchy potion. And then he does the big escalation, which is,
he takes the pot that Becky is holding, filled with hot stew, and dumps it on her, putting the pot on her head.
Yep.
Just the worst. Like, it's so stupid.
Yeah, it's real bad. I feel bad when you do that to like a guest star.
Yeah, what the heck?
Oh,
she's a human being. She's humiliated.
In my stew experience, she should go to like the hospital.
That has to be at least a 2nd-degree burn.
Yeah, no, that's real bad. So Kenan like emerges from the back, and Kel's like, she's a witch, let's hit her. And they grab like an umbrella and the broom and start whacking the pot, and Charlotte's freaking out, and insanity on screen.
They're hitting the pot, right? Like they're hitting it pretty hard, and the vibrations are just shaking Becky to her core.
Yeah, she's like trying to move, and she's like sliding back and forth.
She's slipping on the stew, and Charlotte is just like, stop! What's happening? What are you doing?
Yeah. Kel's like, you turned my friend Kenan into a pineapple, and Kenan's like, yeah, you turned. Wait, Kel, how can I be a pineapple if I'm right here? And they use this opportunity to knock her to the ground to expose her witchy feet.
Yep, they knock her to the ground. They're like, look, see, she's a witch. Look at her feet. And they're...
normal feet.
Normal feet. This scene kind of creeps me out, knowing Dan Schneider's history.
Yes. I'm surprised that he was not in the writing room for this, with all the... I don't know, the feet, and the licking subplot's also bad too. It's not good.
It's not good at all. Anyways, Becky has normal feet, and Kenan is like that. For some reason, that becomes the thing that it becomes evident to him that she's not a witch.
Yeah.
That becomes the thing.
They take off the pot, and like just they've ruined this girl's whole day.
Everything.
Yeah. This new girl in school has been, like, humiliated, and Kenan's just kind of like, well, it's good that we got plenty of chicken to eat instead, since there's no more stew. And he runs to the back room, the kitchen, to get the chicken.
Yeah, I do like how they don't just, like, leave, right? Like, Kenan runs to the kitchen, and so they're, like, trying to make amends, and maybe they actually do. It leaves it more open-ended than them just running away at Scout.
There's some degree of amends that take place there.
Yeah, but that's about it.
Back on stage, we learn like the true damage that's been done. Well, first, Kel coughs up a hairball.
Yep, that's a good moment.
Yeah, maybe they wrote that moment first and see like, how do we get here?
It's possible.
That's why they gave her a cat and the licking plot. Kel explains like, you just had plain bad luck. And so he's like putting together pieces like, I really was in love with her.
Yep.
It's very, very sad.
It's sad.
Because Kenan's like, yep, but then you got stew on her, and now she wants nothing to do with you. Yep. And like I think the awe from the audience is like too big. Like I think they stopped doing Kel love plots because of the reaction from the audience in this moment. Because they were cheering for Kel. You can tell.
Hey, everybody loves Kel.
Yeah, Kenan's got a theory of how to cheer him up.
Okay, why don't you get me some cheerleaders, and meet me at the swimming pool?
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
So he runs off. Then Cal's just like, he's like, hey, Kenan, I don't want to swim with some cheerleaders. Wait a second. Yeah, I do. Oh, here it goes.
Yeah.
I will say that last moment is a good one. Any moment, any outro that ends with Kel being happy is a good outro.
I agree with that. I tend to agree with that.
So, and that's the show. Aaron, whose fault do you think this episode is? Kenan's or Kel's?
Kenan. You ruined everything.
Is that gonna I've noticed that as we've gone further in the show that it's more and more obvious, right?
Oh yeah.
In early seasons, it was kind of loose, but it's very clear whose problem it is.
Very, 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 very clear. Yes, there's no doubt about it. It's Kenan's fault. He ruined everything with his fear. Pretty much, he let fear control his life.
Yeah, so we absolutely, and there's definitely a message there about going too far and judging people that are different. I think it's a bit of that. So yeah, make sure you validate your friends' feelings and don't steer them wrong.
If anybody has a crush on you and you have a crush on them, you don't have to assume that they're a witch. Although, I mean, if it's always a possibility.
It's also worth noting that like the kind of evil witch that they portray in the show is not like true to real life.
Right. And somebody could have every single characteristic of a witch except and not be one.
Yes, not counting Chris's mother though. That's still we'll be exploring that.
It seems like there is some level of witchcraft happening. Witchcraft. That was another joke we didn't mention, right? When the teacher's talking about witchcraft, Kel goes, "Witchcraft. Witchcraft is it?"
Like arts and crafts, like craft macaroni and cheese.
I don't know if he said that. He said something else, but yeah.
No, he didn't. That's a better joke. They should have put that one in.
They should have. Yeah, they should have got a sponsor.
To kind of cap things off here, I really wanted to highlight Linda Cardellini's performances and other stuff that she's done in her career, because I guarantee you, everyone listening to this has seen or witnessed her in something else and didn't even realize it. Like, she's done a lot of like animation work, like voicing characters and stuff like that, and her archetype is very much kind of good-natured mother. So, for example, she's Hawkeye's wife in the Avengers movies.
Oh, well, she's like a real actress.
Yeah, she does that stuff. She voices characters on both a regular show and Gravity Falls.
Oh, cool. She's accomplished.
Yeah, she was in Legally Blonde. She played Velma in the live-action Scooby-Doo movies.
Ah.
She's got a lot of accolades, I'd say.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and in this era, I think through the 2000s, she was just like, she plays, I felt like the other girl in a lot of like TV shows. Like, she was on 9 episodes of Mad Men, 3 episodes of New Girl. She's just all over the place. So, but very accomplished. All right, so Aaron, I've got my second question of the night to you is about ratings. So this episode on IMDb is rated 35, right below average out of 62. 7.5 out of 10. How many bottles of orange soda would you give this episode?
Adam, I would give this episode 8 bottles of orange soda.
All right. I think that's a very fair.
I laughed a lot. And so even though it was the plot wasn't that desirable at the end, I thought it was really funny. The Kenan's faces were just made the episode, and just there was a lot of good writing, a lot of really good jokes, and Chris's like moment, the scene where they're looking back at Becky and Charlotte and Rigby's. I mean, those scenes are make the episode for me. So I give it 8 out of 10, and the pie in the pocket. Can't beat that.
There's some good bits for sure. I am actually perfectly in line with IMDb. 7.5 is what I've given this one. It reminded me, the other episode it reminded me of from season 2 was Haven't Got Time for the Paint. It's got like kind of the same, I guess, pacing to that. It doesn't stick the landing perfectly.
The school vibes, yeah.
School vibes and the same kind of the writing duo. Not turning into their best work, but a great episode of Kenan and Kel nonetheless.
A passable episode for sure.
Yeah, far above like mental telepathy that I mentioned earlier. So, all right, are you ready for next week's episode?
Next week's episode is I don't know what it is. It's going to take me a while to pull it up. The contest.
Nope. I can tell you, and you can announce it if you want.
Please tell me.
It's to catch a thief.
To catch a thief.
Yes, and we'll learn a lot more about Mark Cram, Kenan's new neighbor.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, hopefully you'll join us for then. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple's podcasts. And share the show with a friend if you enjoy it.
If you enjoy it. If you don't, keep it to yourself.
Yeah, put in your little witch's cauldron to yourself and practice it behind the scenes.
Pandora's box. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We appreciate you. We appreciate you listening. And we will see you next time. Until then, here it goes.
Thank you for listening. You can send us an email at kenancalpodcast@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at anchor.fm/KenanCalPodcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all at Kenan Cal Podcast.